What up, Shredder? We're out here looking at infinite possibilities today. Behind me is a snowboard box, and you can do an unimaginable amount of tricks on it. But the thing is that most people never step past the basics. They never go beyond what they initially learned on a snowboard. And if that's you, it's not your fault. It's just that the more you progress on a snowboard, the more fun you're gonna have. So today we want to bring you beyond the beginner snowboard tricks on a box and talk to you about 5 intermediate box snowboard tricks. Let's get it. One of the first more advanced tricks beyond beginner tricks that I learned was the 180 onto a box. There's a lot of different ways to do this. We're going to start with either the front side 180 on or the half cab on. That's a switch 180. Now I'd recommend you start with the switch 180 on, and that's because you're going to land in a regular 50-50 on the box. So actually being on that sharp hard metal, you're going to be going your natural stance, and you can 180 off and land switch on that softer snow. So the way to do this is to take the right approach. Come in on your toe side and then switch to your heels going up the middle of the launch. That's going to give you a little bit of a wind up, and then you can 180 onto the box. Start to spin those shoulders while keeping your board straight in a 50-50, and then just 180 out when you get to the end of the box. You just let your board follow what your shoulders are doing. So that's trick number 1, the front side or half cab 180 on. Once you can do one of them, try the other. If you start switch, try regular next. That's gonna land in a switch 50-50 and be a little bit harder on the box, but easier to land regular. Trick number 2 is the tail side 270 out. This is where you come up front side on your toe edge, and then you're gonna jump into what looks like a backside board slide. On a rail, if the rail's in front of you and you land on your tail, we call this a tail slide. Now the reason we're gonna jump to our tail is because it's easier to rotate out of a grind when you're on your nose or tail than it is just being flat faced. And that's because you can kind of pivot around that back leg. So the way to do this is come up, take a little toe to heel approach, start to spin those shoulders off the launch, and then land with your hips centered over your back leg rather than in the middle of the snowboard. You're gonna start to rotate your shoulders blind. Now you're gonna lose sight of the end of the box here, but that's okay because you can look down at your feet, and once you reach the end of the box, rotate those shoulders out, let your feet follow, and ride away regularly. Now again, you're gonna get double time in this. Once you've mastered the regular version of this, try it switch. I personally find this to be a little bit easier switch as well. And that's just because I prefer to spin backside to front side. So when I do it switch, I'm gonna be spinning right, which is easier for me than spinning left. All right, trick number 3 is the front board 270 out. This is just like the backboard, except for your back is gonna be facing down the box the whole time, which means it's gonna be blind. So the way we deal with that is we're gonna look down at our feet. So come up a little heel to toe approach, meaning you come right up the center of the launch on your toes, and then you're gonna rotate 90 degrees into that frontside board slide. Now, I find it easier if you do what's called a frontside blunt slide, where we're gonna put this over a back foot. So just rotate those hips over the back foot, start to turn your head and shoulders, and you're gonna be able to see the end of that rail. So I actually think this is easier than doing the backboard 270 out because you can see your landing. So once you can spot the end of the rail, reach that back arm for your landing and then rotate 270 out and ride away. Trick number 4 is the backside 180 onto the box. This is going to be harder than every trick you've done so far because it is completely blind to getting on the box. The key here, like most tricks, is taking the proper approach. We're going to take heel to toe up the launch, keep a strong posture, and then rotate backside 180 into a switch 50-50. Once you get on there, you're going to see your landing the whole time, and you can 180 out. Once you master regular, again, step to the switch. Trick number 5 is the 270 to front board. Now again, like every other trick in this list, we can do it regular or switch. It's gonna be easier for me switch because I'm gonna land in a regular front board. So I'm gonna come up, toe to heel, pop. Most people pre-spin this and they don't pop, and you're never gonna be able to do it onto a rail if you don't pop properly. So practice those switch frontside 180 ollies. When you get to the lip, pop, spin around, land in a regular front board, look for the end of the rail, and then come out regular or switch. If you can do this one way, try it the other way. It's really not too hard regular as long as you practice your switch front boards. You're gonna come up just like a frontside 360. So that means heel side off the launch, a little bit of pre-wind, rotate 270, land on that switch front board, right away, regular. So that's it, 5 intermediate box tricks. They're not the hardest tricks in the world, but they're a hell of a lot harder than those beginner tricks. Once you're ready to advance to the next level, go out there, give these a shot. If you can learn all of these, regular and switch, you pretty much have all the fundamentals you need to start doing really advanced snowboard tricks, because you're going to learn the approach for each of these tricks, the spin onto the rail, landing in those different positions, and how to kind of figure out your bearings when you are on that box. Go out there, give it a shot. Let us know in the comments which ones of these can you do and which ones are still a struggle. And as always, if you need help and you want it broken down piece by piece, go check out Shred School. That's all for today. Peace out, Shredder.